Hello everyone and welcome back to round 8 of our F1 24 My Team career mode. Yes, we're back this weekend here for the duel in the Formula 1 crown. We're back again at the Monaco Grand Prix. Of course, if you missed out on the last video that went live a couple of days ago from Imola, I would highly recommend going back and checking it out. But yes, safe to say, as we head to Monaco, confidence a little bit higher than it has been in recent times. Those points last weekend really were useful, and of course, on a high downforce circuit like that, you know, I want to believe that maybe points again are going to be doable today. We've still got just the one upgrade in the works at the moment that is hopefully going to bring us ahead of VCarb and Haas in the very near future. And taking a look at our championship standings as well, Verstappen with a 33-point lead over Charles Leclerc at the moment. This series is certainly got a much more exciting title fight than the driver career mode going on over on the main channel as well. And of course, if you're new around here, please do make sure you get yourself subscribed as well. Obviously, we're trying to hit 3k subs on the channel at the moment, but I don't think we're going to need to change any components this weekend. Maybe the gearbox is starting to look a little bit dicey, so we won't get a penalty for that. But yeah, let's head out then onto the track.
One of the most demanding circuits on the calendar. We're back here in Monaco, ready for another weekend of classic motorsport action. Plenty of data to find here in practice. A very warm welcome.
Well, I must admit, as we return to the Monaco streets, slightly nervous as we look towards the weather ahead. Saturday's qualifying session is meant to be in intermediate conditions, and, well, you guys, I'm sure, have already seen countless times on this channel and many others that intermediate conditions can be a little bit broken inside this game. The AI like to stay on dry tyres, so we could be on for a huge qualifying result here. Admittedly, perhaps not particularly accurately, but of course, as always, we've got to earn some R&D. Making our way through the final couple of corners, building up some early confidence here in free practice as well, which is fantastic news. Got to be careful of cars making their way out the pit lane. Only the green score, though. Well, anyone that watched our driver career mode video here last weekend will know of the heartbreak that we suffered on these Monaco streets. Really hoping we don't see a repeat of that this time out. But yeah, as we make our way, though, through the tyre wear program, this car's actually sitting very nicely around this venue, so feeling a bit more confident than I felt like I would. So let's head into qualifying.
Not all qualifying sessions are created equal. From the moment that a driver sits in a go-kart, they want to end up here, in the pit lane, ready and raring for qualifying at the Monaco Grand Prix.
Well, as we make our way then onto the circuit here in Monaco, it's safe to say I'm ever so slightly nervous that this is going to end up being a ridiculous qualifying session there. I've gone out on inters, everybody else is out on the dries. Maybe they've got a chance. I think, honestly, we're actually fairly close to the crossover period anyway. But we might be about to take a landmark first ever pole in the most ridiculous way possible. Well, I think, to be honest, we've got to try and channel our inner Olivier Panis here as we start our first flying lap around the Monaco streets. Like I said, I've got no idea actually whether the pace is going to be good or not. It might be that we end up 3 seconds off anybody else, so we have got to go out there on dries. But yeah, the track must be very close to the crossover. You can see little bits of water being kicked up in a few places. I guess the end of Sector 1 will kind of tell us how we're looking against Logan Sargent. Pretty much actually even with him, so I reckon we're pretty much on the cusp between the inters and the dries. But whose hand will this fall into? Oh, nudge the wall on the inside of Tabac. We were lucky to get away with that one, but still pretty much tied with Logan Sargent's time currently in P18. I mean, normally we've ended up being on the back row so far this season and really lacked pace. Imola was kind of a bit of a breakthrough result for us, but out of the final corner then, where are we going to be after the first run? We go P16. Now we've got a bit more tyre temperature though. Are we going to be able to ramp that up? Well, I honestly think at the moment we're in a weird middle ground where the intermediate hasn't got enough standing water to really kind of get it working, but the dries as well don't quite have enough grip either, so really is nip and tuck.
P16 now.
Try and get a smoother line through to back there. That should be a couple of extra tenths in the back pocket. I mean, the entry to the swimming pool chicane is still flat out. It is so sketchy here as we found way more time towards the end of the lap. Through the final couple of corners, though, this is going to elevate us up the order. How high, though, is it going to put us 1 second up as we make our way to the line? P4. It's not quite fastest, but we are in that fight. Well, less than a minute left on the clock, then. We've gone back out. We've gone on the dry compounded tyre now. Are we going to see AI improve? Has the track just reached a point where the dries feel more usable here? This is going to be a really, really sketchy final lap here of qualifying. And in really, really tricky conditions. I don't genuinely believe, actually. I have no idea which tyre is going to be the ideal one to use at the moment. We're just going to try and hedge our bets, split our strategy a little bit by going back out like this now. It might be a really good choice. It might be a really, really bad one there, as 2 tenths down by the end of Sector 1. It's so important you stay in the dry line. You know, got to try and stay in the wheel tracks as some of the other drivers as well. They're finding plenty of time, though, down through the hairpin. So maybe now the circuit just starting to come back to us a little bit. Oh, Hamilton fastest on the board there. That is a big improvement by Lewis, as Verstappen's going to be going even quicker then. So times are improving. We are slowly getting moved down the order. So I think this has ended up being a qualifying of trying to be out there as late as you possibly can. Carlos Sainz now dips into the 1 minute 15. So we definitely made the right call to go on to the dries. Just a handful of corners to go, though, as we try and attack our way through the curbs. We're 2 tenths up. But I mean, look how far down the order we've dropped. We are right back down towards the bottom of the field now. There's one more corner to go then. Roll on that power as best as we can. 3 tenths up. It is P13. Damn it, man. 13th place again on the grid. Well, there we go. Carlos Sainz will line up on the pole, ready for the Monaco Grand Prix ahead of Lando Norris and Max Verstappen there. It really was a touch-and-go session in the end, but because it got to the dries, everyone able to basically be on a level playing field. 2 thousandths of a second behind Zhou Guanyu. That was the 3 cars covered by 2 thousandths of a second at the end of qualifying there. It doesn't get much closer than that, but we need to try and find a way to score some points.
Formula One returns to Monte Carlo once again today, home to the world-famous Monte Carlo Casino, first opened in 1863, and of course a certain road race first held in 1929. There is no greater an occasion, no more valuable a win than the Monaco Grand Prix. We're on the French Riviera once more this weekend at the 2-mile-long Circuit de Monaco. Cars will climb around 40 metres up the hill past the casino and then descend towards the harbour through Sector 2. It's a very short run from pole position to the first of 19 corners, so don't expect to see much overtaking here today. Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. It's Carlos Sainz in pole position, and Lando Norris lines up alongside. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Verstappen, Leclerc, Hamilton, Perez, Russell, Stroll, Albon, Fernando Alonso, Joe, Gasly, Mr. Monaco, Oscar Piastri, Ocon, Tsunoda, Sargent, Ricciardo, Bottas, Hulkenberg, Iwasa, and Kevin Magnussen fills the last spot on the grid. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out then. Let's see who can prevail today. Welcome to the commentary box. I'm Alex Jakes. Alongside me, a real authority on all things motor racing. It's a warm welcome back to Anthony Davidson. Things seem comfortable. They seem stable right now. That's a positive. But do they need to be pushed to the next level?
Well, that's the thing, you know, as a driver, it's easy to feel like you're the individual. It's all about you and, you know, you want to further your career the best you can, but you have to have the team hat on as well and play the team game, work with your teammate as best you can. It's not an easy balance to figure out.
Okay, mate, try your best. And with a bit of luck, we might just get that points finish.
That's what we're aiming for. I'd love to try and score some points around the Monaco streets. But also, I missed it after qualifying. Shout outs to Iwasa. For the first time this season, he's out-qualified someone that isn't me. Kevin Magnussen, lines up on last place on the grid. We tried the soft medium in the driver career mode. It didn't work. Today we're going to try the soft hard, just to see if we can try and slice our way through a couple of cars at the start, and then basically just try and hang on for dear life for the rest of the afternoon. That's the game plan here at Monaco, and we'll wait and see as to how we get on. Waiting on those 5 red lights. It is lights out, and away we go. Not if you're Fernando Alonso, those. We'll actually find an avenue down the inside. Oh, that was so sketchy down in towards turn 1 there. 3 wide with Zhou Guanyu and Alonso. And this time around, it was actually Alonso who not only recovers, but has also actually made a couple of overtakes there. Zhou Guanyu. Oh, he didn't spot me on the inside still, as they're still side by side a little bit further up. I believe that's Russell and Lance Stroll in the other Aston Martin going side by side. So we're going to try and take liberties down in towards the hairpin there. Even more wheel banging. And Zhou Guanyu, how on earth has he gone and done that around my outside? Clearly just able to get the power down there. Rolls the car through. And will hang on to his P11 position then. So we have gained 1 place off the start. Gasly opted for the hard tyre. So it hasn't worked out too well for him. So what is going on there? Alonso and Stroll now side by side. And Stroll's gone. And there we go, a virtual safety car. It's finally happened. It's finally happened. We've got a safety car or a red flag or something on this game. Well, let's take a look then at this incident here. You can see we're actually watching from Alonso's POV as Hamilton and Stroll side by side into the chicane there. Stroll actually nudges the wall, and Alonso, I think he has given him enough room. I think Alonso did actually give the Canadian enough room there on the inside. If we try and slow it down from Stroll's POV, you can see Russell goes clean around the outside of him, down in towards the hairpin, wants to try and turn in. Stroll backs out, nicks the inside wall just like we saw him do in real life there. That tips the car just into a little bit of a spin. Alonso fancies his chances on the exit of the corner there. And is there any room between them? I mean, we'll try and have a look from maybe behind the car. Oh, there's definitely a little bit of a gap there. Stroll, I think he's had the room. Didn't want to make contact with his teammate. Into the wall he'll go. And that's how we've ended up with our first ever red flag inside F1 24. And an AI driver has made a mistake. Unfortunately, it does probably mean that we're all on hards for the rest of the afternoon. Well, there we go. Yeah, this is a fantastic look. And obviously how those all work. And yet the team already saying we've got to restart this one on the hard compounded tyre then. So I think that's going to be everybody's game plan to the end of the afternoon. I cannot believe it. And we're into the points. 5 red lights. And it's going to be lights out. And away we go again then. As basically everyone now is going to be on the same tyre. Zhou Guanyu left with nowhere to go. Down in towards turn 1 as he wanted to try and split Alonso and Lance Stroll there. As we make our way up the hill, though. Lando Norris now moving up to the lead of the Grand Prix. It's almost Russell into the wall. I just genuinely cannot believe we've had a red flag here. We might get another one if Zhou Guanyu clearly doesn't spot me still on his inside. Oh, I thought about going back down the inside of the next corner. Is still Alonso and Russell side by side a little bit further up. Everybody trying to make moves at the start of the Grand Prix. As we'll go back around the outside through the hairpin on Zhou Guanyu there. Perez and Hamilton. Well, everyone's nicking the wall. What on earth is going on?
Energy, okay to use your overtake button.
This has got to be the most chaotic start I've seen in a long, long time on any F1 game here. Is down the inside of Alonso. Oh, a big send. Big send, but we keep it inside the white lines. And we are up in 8th place then off the second start here in Monte Carlo. Yeah, still McLaren of Lando Norris ahead of both those Ferrari cars early on, with Verstappen in hot pursuit in P4. Sergio Perez hanging on again ahead of Lewis Hamilton there in P5. So it's McLaren, Ferrari, Red Bull, Mercedes. Your top 7 by the end of lap 1.
Is now enabled. Okay, so we're leading our teammate by 6.1 seconds.
Lap 3 even, I should say there. Because of course we're already on lap 4 of this Grand Prix, but I can't believe it's finally happened. And it was Lance Stroll, because of course it was always going to be. Well, now we've actually had a chance to kind of compose ourselves, soak in everything that's happened at the start of the Grand Prix. Of course, I've got to remember, we're not actually really needing to push on basically the goal this afternoon now is just defend from Fernando Alonso. No chance we're going to have the pace ahead of those Mercs. But, I mean, we could end up with another one. We could end up with a safety car. You never quite know what might happen. But, yeah, I just cannot believe it. I genuinely just didn't think we were ever going to see one before they brought out a patch to this game. Well, just because we've survived the start and we're now running up in the points does not mean we're home and dry here. Front left tyre wear, as I've said so many times on this game. I think we've actually nudged the wall. That's what's done the damage. But yeah, we're going to have to be really, really gentle with the car. Keep it threading it. Kind of keeping it away from the Armco barriers. Or do that and pick up another 5% wear. That's going to be the difference maker here. Well, as we cross over 1/4 distance then in this Grand Prix, Lando Norris absolutely pulling away at the front of the field there. Ferrari seemingly have got no answer for him unless that McLaren is on a set of medium or soft compounded tyres and knows he has to pit again. But yeah, a bit like the IRL Monaco Grand Prix last week. Because of the red flag on lap 1, it has kind of completely ruined the strategy. I know, for example, Pierre Gasly will be another one that will have to pit before the end of this race, because of course he started on the hards. But honestly for us, unless I keep hitting the walls, this might end up being the most boring race ever. That being said though, the gap to those Mercs in front is pretty much leveled out now, so I actually think we have got some pretty decent pace. It just took us a few laps to kind of get used to the hard tyres. If we could get the gap over Zhou Guanyu, then I would quite happily risk a pit stop here and try and get back ahead of Alonso.
Seconds between you and the next car.
Mark, I was literally just saying that. So now, not only has Mark told me what I already know, he now won't let me speak to him again. He's told me that, and that's us done with conversations today. There's an odd glitch still that occasionally when they give you a radio message, it just never kind of fully leaves. As you can see, we've got the caption for it as well, which is rather annoying. But I now can't select the radio. I'm trying to do the maths in my head then. I don't think it'd be worth boxing unless we had close to a 20-second lead on Zhou Guanyu. And honestly, we're pulling out a good half a second a lap, but it would take us pretty much to the end of the race before we could even do it. But yeah, Alonso's starting to lack a little bit of pace as well. Gap to those Mercs in front down less than 4. But as I said, it is just all about avoiding the walls. Well, as we approach half distance, I guess our other option is to try and get out ahead of, I believe it's Logan Sargent in the Williams, that is kind of holding up all the rest of the back markers. Tyre wear is still, yeah, so it's just those little grazes and nudges with the wall that I'm still really just trying to stamp out here as best as I can. But it is interesting as well, watching some of the other AI, the way that kind of the times are floating around. Norris's gap at the front seems to be coming back down to Ferrari. Red Bull actually really struggling at the moment, so Mercedes and even myself are closing in. As yeah, Alonso still pulling away from Zhou Guanyu, who is definitely lacking out-and-out pace as well. Oh no, that nudge has tipped the tyres up over the 60% threshold. Yeah, still that front left that I seem to be grazing the most with. But yeah, that gap to Zhou's going up, and actually Gasly behind him is starting to lose a little bit more time as well. I reckon give it another 5-6 laps, we might be able to box and get out ahead of Sargent. Oh, okay. Sainz and Perez then into the pits at the end of lap 22. So that was not what I was expecting to see at this point of the Grand Prix. I'm sure they will get the jump still and be ahead there, as Gasly is going to peel into the pit lane as well. So, yeah, I reckon we're pretty much safe now to be able to pit ahead of Logan Sargent. But yeah, these tyres are really starting to fall apart now. Right, come on then, into the pits we'll come. We'll take the gamble now. Everyone seems to be a little bit split on what they're doing with the strategy. There's Max Verstappen into the pit lane as well. Charles Leclerc there, so we've actually held up Verstappen slightly and given Leclerc some extra breathing room here, but the important one for us is that we come out ahead of Logan Sargent there as Fernando Alonso out on the road. I might have made a mistake by going on the softs. We'll have to wait and see about that one. But as we make our way out, come on, roll on that throttle. Here comes Logan. We should be still ahead of him. Yes, we are. So that's okay. Well, one place outside of the points, but there's still a lot of slower cars up the road. And I know what you're thinking as well. If we can only do barely half the Grand Prix on a set of hards, Why on earth do I think I can do the other half on a set of softs? Well, with the extra grip we'll have, hopefully we're going to be able to avoid the walls a lot more. I actually reckon had we gone it completely clean, tyres would have probably only been at like 20% wear. Hulkenberg set fastest lap on a 1:11.3. Hopefully we're going to be able to try and snatch that away from him. Oh, no, we don't. Only an 11.5 there, so I really thought that one was going to be clear cut and dry for us, but apparently not. Again, though, got to be conscious of those fronts. This is the other problem we've all got by pitting as well. If it's just me trying to get past some of these back markers, then I'd like to feel it'd be quite easy. Not that normally Oscar Piastri is a back marker, but he's certainly, yeah, disastrous qualifying yesterday. Has been left with a lot of work to do this afternoon. He's got the pace to keep us all behind, but if we can muscle our way to the front of this group, then I'm going to try. Oh, having a look around the outside. Oh, Max clobbers the wall on the inside through Larascas. In through Anthony Nogues. I think we've hit him. I think we've made contact with Verstappen there, unwilling to back out. And Verstappen now with wing damage. Leclerc trying to go the long way around Oscar Piastri at turn 1. He's got to make that move happen as well. But we are back into the points then of the Monaco Grand Prix. As disaster for Verstappen, who has definitely lost some end plate. Well, I think Verstappen's afternoon has been completely ruined with that incident there. But I mean, if we've gone around the outside, at some point my logic is you've got to have to back out of it somewhere. And the Dutchman clearly felt otherwise. Do not use first gear through Larascas. It does not work, as I almost dropped the car. Are we going to see Verstappen in the pits? Yes, we are. Yeah, I think that's his day over then, as Perez to the outside of Oscar Piastri this time round. Can we try and follow the Mexican through side by side as we make our way up the hill? Will we be able to hook it up? I think we have just about Piastri. Yep, not enough grip. And that was a very scary overtake. Whoa, around the outside of Perez, he does the same thing as Max Verstappen did. This time round, they'll get cleanly around through the final corner. And up into 8th place, then we go, of this Grand Prix, as Ferrari stuck behind Zhou Guanyu. So are we potentially going to be able to get even more here? I'm sure Alonso is loving this. Was never on for a P4 finish until things have fallen into place. But yeah, I was expecting the second half of this race to be really boring, and it's been anything but. Oh, Zhou Guanyu is still holding up those cars, as we'll try and do it again then. This time around the outside of Charles Leclerc. Nope! Oh, dearie me. We're still side by side with him on the exit. Oh, so we'll try and put the power down, and carnage there. As I think Leclerc actually hit the inside wall before we made contact. We've now picked up side pod damage as well then. I think we should be able to keep going. But Perez now trying to get involved there. I think Leclerc might be out of the Grand Prix. Yep, Charles Leclerc is out of it. Could we see a late race safety car or anything like that on top of the red flag earlier on? I don't think so somehow. On a weekend then when Leclerc thought there might be an opportunity to take some big points out of Max Verstappen. Unfortunately, that isn't going to happen for him, and his Monaco curse looks set to continue there. 5 seconds up to Zhou Guanyu in front. We are now in a wounded car, but could we still get to him before the flag? 5 laps to go. The gap to Zhou Guanyu still coming down. I'll be honest, at this point, I'm just happy that we haven't got a tyre wear warning light flashed up yet. So I think unless we basically spend the rest of the afternoon driving on the Armcos, we should make it to the end without a puncture. But have we got one more twist in the tail? Nice that we've actually got Mark speaking to me again right at the end of this race. But Lando Norris, halfway around his final tour of the Monaco Grand Prix circuit. It has not been a race he's won IRL, but it has been a race he's scored a podium on in the past. And I guess in this alternate universe, of course, he never won in Miami. So this would be a landmark first Grand Prix victory for Lando Norris here. Through the final couple of corners, McLaren, I think it'll be their first win here as well since 2008 with Lewis Hamilton. Lando Norris is a Formula 1 Grand Prix winner. And I'll be honest, after the restart, he's made it look very, very easy. Mercedes are going to come through with a double podium. Really were able to make their strategy work today. And Fernando Alonso, I'm sure, will be quite happy there. Was not due that big a result early on. But kept it clean, kept it tidy, looked after his tyres. And he is going to be able to convert there. Down through the final couple of corners. We've given it our all today. It's going to be another 6 points for the team as well. So I'm pretty happy with that. Out of the final corner, it is P7. We have survived Monaco.
That's it then for another nail-biting Monaco Grand Prix. We were on the edge of our seats the whole time, but they've come through to take a stunning victory.
Well, it's never easy and straightforward to put a race like this together today, but they did the best job out there. They used the information wisely and they stayed on the track. That was the most important thing.
And look at that, they're making their way out onto the podium now. Great race for the McLaren team, and I'm very happy to see them there on the top step of the podium.
Well, there we go then. A British 1-2-3 at the end of the weekend here, but it is Lando Norris for McLaren. Top step of the podium. Alonso comes through, like we said, for fourth ahead of Zhou and Carlos Sainz there, with myself, Perez, Piastri, and Logan Sargent getting a point in for Williams there. He was defending pretty much all race long. I think it's safe to say he deserves that. Awasa as well gets a career best 16th place, so admittedly not as great as we might have seen by some other drivers there, but beats out Hulkenberg, Ricciardo, and yeah, Max Verstappen as well. They're down in P19. Only Charles Leclerc and Lance Stroll unable to see the checkered flag this weekend. But there we go, taking a look at the Drivers' Championship. Well, George Russell closes in on both Verstappen and Leclerc at the top, as both of them failing to score. Of course, Norris ahead of Alonso, and yeah, we close in on Oscar Piastri just a little bit more as well there. That also means, yeah, Sargent now is tied with his teammate, and constructors-wise there, Williams double their haul, as yeah, we're looking pretty locked in that 6th position there. Ferrari and Mercedes, as well as McLaren, all closing in on Red Bull as well at the top of the table. So maybe, just maybe, we've got a constructors fight as well later on this campaign. But thank you all so much for watching this video. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure to leave a like, get yourself subscribed, and we'll be back very soon when Formula 1 returns ready for the Spanish Grand Prix.